And I hear a guy go, "Which one of y'all beat my ass last night?" And before I could turn, a bottle crashed over my head and I wound up on the floor.
All right, we are in here in Chattanooga, Tennessee for another really great episode of Drifting Cowboy, because we're in here with my friend, Mr. Charlie Starr of Blackberry Smoke. Charlie, thank you for having us out here. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all for being here.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be a cool show tonight. And, man, just thank you
I hope it is.
Yeah. Oh, we know it will be. We know it will be. But thank you for having us out here and doing this. Been something I've really been looking forward to, because I've been a fan of y'all's for a long time, many years now. Actually, Kenny Spears, who's here with us, he introduced me to y'all's music years and years ago, and I've been following faithfully since, and just great music.
Thank you very much. We do what we can.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to ask you, I kind of like to start at the beginning with things. How'd you get into music when you were younger?
Well, my dad is a bluegrass guy, bluegrass guitar player, singer. Not professionally. He was a body and paint man. But when I was a kid, I loved to hear him play and sing.
Yeah.
Play the guitar and sing, and just around the house. And he just is like a lot of other bluegrass guys, that he never cared for rock and roll. Not a whole lot of country either. It would have to be like Hank Williams and Ernest Tubb and Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash seemed to slip through a lot with people like that.
Yeah.
I think it was just the persona was just so powerful. Because my dad could take or leave George Jones, who I loved.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's all that honky-tonk stuff, But but he would come home from work, and instead of playing baseball, he'd get his guitar, and I was just fascinated with it. And he would sing, like the wreck of the old 97.
Oh, yeah.
Or Knoxville Girl, or something that had dying in it. And I was always like, sing that one about when he gets scalded to death by the steam.
Some old Dark Leuven Brothers song.
Yeah. So so that was him, and his mother, my grandmother, she played piano and mandolin. And so when I was little, I was too little to make chords on his guitar, and she taught me to make some mandolin chords.
Oh, yeah.
So that was cool. That's my dad's side. My mother's side was even more profound musically, in that her mother's brothers were the Swanee River Boys. They were a very popular gospel group. Buford, her uncle, my great uncle, he wrote "Long White Line" that Sturgill recorded.
No kidding.
And he wrote not only tons of gospel songs for them, but some secular songs too. And that one made it through.
Yeah.
He had already passed when Sturgill recorded it, but I remember when I was made aware of it, I was able to contact his widow and let her know. And she was already in her 90s then. She's like, who?
Wow, that's awesome. I love that song.
Yeah, and I think Sturgill, he heard it because it had been recorded by Bill Napier and Charlie Moore, and then Aaron Tippin.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my long-winded answer to your question.
Oh, no. So a very, very musical family.
Yeah.
What age were you when you started playing instruments? I guess mandolin, was that your first, was mandolin?
Yeah, so I learned G, C, and D on a mandolin first, and I was about 5. But then my dad, I was just always bugging him about his guitar and, banging his around, and so he went and bought me. I think he could see that this was not just a passing phase. I was like, I will risk a whipping to get to that guitar. And so he went and bought me a little beginner's guitar, gut string guitar. That was 6 years old, and I knew, like, even over the next few years, starting to play, we didn't have t-ball when I was a kid. You went straight into real man's baseball.
Yeah.
And padded football. And I was never any good at that stuff. I was a scrawny kid. I wanted to be good at it, but I was like, well, I can't run fast and I can't throw that ball very far, but I can play a tune on this thing.
Yeah.
So I knew, I'm like, well, you gravitate toward what you can do, what you're good at, and that was it.
Did you start singing at early age too?
Not really. We would kind of gather around the piano with my dad's mother, and my sister's a great singer. And we would figure out little harmony parts, but I was terrified to sing. I hated it.
Really?
Yeah, I was just up at sound check and talking to my guitar tech, and he's like, "When you hear your own voice, do you hate it?" I said, "Yes, I think we all do." That never goes away.
You have such an incredible voice. That fascinates me, actually.
I don't think anybody. I mean, like when you're in the studio and you hear it soloed up, nothing will run you off quicker than hearing your own voice, just out there naked.
Really?
Okay, I'm going to get a bite to eat. Y'all enjoy.
Well, when was it then that you decided that, hey, I'm gonna be a singer?
Well, up through my teen years, and I'm from a little textile mill town in Alabama, which there's not much to do but work in a mill and then go to a bar. But I started playing in local bars with guys who were older than me and learning how to be in a band, learning Rolling Stone songs and Skinner songs and ZZ Top and Marshall Tucker and Jimi Hendrix and the Doors and everything that people want to dance and drink to. And I was dealing with some crazy singers, which I think that's like saying I was dealing with wet water. And like I had a drummer friend who really was guiding me. He was much older. He was probably 8 years older. In fact, he was one of my best friends. He passed away last year, sadly, but what a great guy. His name was Bill Seals. And when we first started to play together, I got grounded. He was already 24 years old, and I got grounded and couldn't practice. Anyway, but we started playing in bars, he and I, and he would call and be like, well, I guess we can't play this weekend because Billy's got arrested, or he's having a fight with his wife and she's not going to allow him to go. Or anyway, it was just all kinds of drama. And I'm 16, learning about this. Like, wow, can you do that? Can you just flake out like that? Is that allowed? And it's not. So eventually I was like, and he kind of prodded me. He's like, will you sing? Because I'd been singing with those guys, singing harmonies. And occasionally I would step out and sing one. And I hated it. I was so nervous, But finally he's like, in order for us to make our $200 for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, from 9 to 2 a.m., 9 p.m. to 2 a.m., would you sing? And I said, yeah. And I remember I made a little, then he kind of questioned, he's like, can you do it? And I made a little recording in my bedroom of singing like Roadhouse Blues and Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers and Can't You See and a few other things. And I sent it to him and he's like, that'll do. We can make it through.
That's awesome. So did you know that you wanted to pursue a career in music and that's what you definitely wanted to do?
I did. Because I had dreams of, I was just telling a friend this the other day. It was like, I remember there was about a year where I got really into skateboards. Me and about 3 of my friends in junior high school. And we thought we were really good, and we were. We all of a sudden became like accidental carpenters because we were borrowing plywood and 2x4s from whoever's dad had some and making launch ramps and stuff. And then that just, I remember getting in a big fight with my mom and being like, I'm going to turn pro. I know what I'm going to do. Because, you know, I like made an F on an algebra test. And she's like, this won't work. I'm like, I don't need algebra to do a kickflip. But then that kind of faded, you know. And I was like, well, I still have, even my friends then were like, yeah, but you got that guitar, you know, and you can play Dream On.
Yeah.
So I knew then, I was like, well, there's only one thing I'm good at, and it's this. I can play half of Eruption, and my friends can't.
Yeah.
So that was that.
Were some of the other members of Blackberry Smoke, were they some of the guys that you played with in those early days, or how did that all come together?
No, well, I did meet Paul Jackson. I was about 19, and I was already a veteran of the cover band scene in my hometown. And
Yeah.
he wound up moving there from Pensacola. He and his brother had a cover band, and we wound up being in rival cover bands.
Mm.
He's 2 years older than me, I think. So he was already. Well, we were all in bars illegally from 16 on. You know, I had a fake ID, some old gray-haired dude. But he was working and in those same bars, and I was really jealous because I thought we had a cooler set list, like because we played Aerosmith and the Faces, and we played Curtis Lowe, and what they did was the girls liked them more because they did like Journey and Bon Jovi and stuff, and I was always like, those sons of bitches get all the girls over there with their girly songs. But they were great, and especially it stuck with me because he and his brother had that tight family harmony vocals. It was incredible. So fast forward I moved to Atlanta. I graduated high school. My mom was like, please finish school. So I did in 92. Moved to Atlanta and started playing in bands there, because I wanted to write songs then. And tired of playing covers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And through a handful of years, from the early 90s on into the late 90s, I wound up meeting Britt and Richard Turner and formed what would become Blackberry Smoke. And I knew we needed another guitar player and a high harmony voice. And I knew I never forgot his voice. You know, so I called him, got his number from somebody, and called and said, you want to come up here? And I didn't know he had been going to Atlanta playing also, so it worked out. He came out, and away we go.
Yeah. Well, what was it like, you know, transitioning? You said you were a cover band before. What was it like transitioning from being a cover band into Blackberry Smoke?
Well, I had started to write some songs before Blackberry Smoke, and I just couldn't really find a place for them.
Mm.
But I would slip them in with the cover band and just not say anything. You don't go, I'm going to do one I wrote, because that sends people to the bathroom, you know.
Yeah.
But you slip one in and pretend it's Aerosmith, you know, and I don't know. That was a sneaky way, because club owners then would be like, "Well, you don't need to be playing that. People didn't pay a cover to come in here and hear your songs."
Yeah.
But it didn't really. I wasn't really excited about that. That was, you know, because it didn't really work that well. But then I didn't really start writing a lot of songs until we formed Blackberry Smoke. And when we went to make our first album with Jesse Dupree, I had written about 5 songs total.
Oh, wow.
And that I thought were any good, you know. There might have been 10 more that were just garbage. But he said, all right, how many more you got? And I was like, this is about it. And he's like, well, you need 5 more at least if we, you know.
Yeah, for a full album.
Record. So I wrote about 3 or 4 maybe that I thought were pretty good. And he's like, well, we need a couple of covers then to fill up this first album. And so we did a revved up version of Freeborn Man, a Jimmy Martin song.
Yeah.
And then a Georgia Satellite song called Another Chance that it was actually one of Jesse's friend's ideas. He said, well, that's a really great song, but what if you guys did it, if you did an electric version of it the way you play? It's because the original recording of that's an acoustic song. So we did that, and that was our first album, and I'll never forget him saying, this was like in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
We had just formed the band. I mean, it all happened really quickly. And he said, are you prepared to write an album a year? And that hadn't really dawned on me.
Yeah.
I said, well, I guess, I don't know. I guess ask me next year. But I did, and here we are.
Yeah. Well, I've always loved the name. I know everybody loves the name. How did y'all come up with the name Blackberry Smoke?
Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes. When I first met Britt and Richard, we actually joined another band together, a band previous to Blackberry Smoke, with another singer. And it was short-lived kind of thing, and we wound up a trio right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have a name. And we were hanging out with Chris. We were sharing a rehearsal area and a storage area for gear. And the Crowes had a lot of their gear there. And they were in pre-production for By Your Side, the record that they made. So we're hanging out with them and partying and never sleeping. And anyway, we said, like, well, we need a band name, and what do you think, Chris? He said a couple of things that were silly, and then he said, the Blackberry Smoke. And I thought, I like that. That's not funny. That's great.
Yeah.
And so we dropped the THE, and that was it. So it came from him.
Black Crow. That's awesome. So what was it like? I know one thing I really admire about Blackberry Smoke is most of everything y'all done has been pretty much independent, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we've worked with some independent label situations that were good and some that didn't turn out to be so good.
Mm-hmm.
We sold that first record out of the trunk of our car, basically, for the first couple of years. And then we were in the process of making album number 2 when we met Dan Huff in Nashville with a small group of people, a publisher, Scott Gunter was his name, and Dan and Justin Ebank. And we were in Atlanta kind of making other recordings, and he kind of halted that and was like, well, wait, don't go any further because we're going to re-record these. And I made some relationships at that point. He was the first person who was like, have you ever written with any other writers in Nashville? And I said, no. And so he introduced me to a few writers that now I've made long-lasting friendships with.
Yeah.
Lifelong friends. Travis Meadows and Randy Houser. And,
oh, yeah. I love Randy.
And wrote some long-lasting songs with those people, because with Dan, we recorded a couple songs that neither I nor the band wrote. Good One Coming On and Freedom Song. Yeah. And so I remember hearing those songs and thinking, well, those are good. This kind of hurts my feelings. I was young and it hurt my pride, but I couldn't argue that those are great songs.
Right.
They would fit along with the ones that I had, But he said, well, I want you to go with David Lee Murphy. Then he wrote Good One Coming On with Leroy Parnell and Gary Nicholson. And see what you and David can come up with. And we wrote Ain't Much Left of Me.
Yeah.
Which we wound up recording the next record. But anyway, so my point is I got together with some people and then went back to work and wrote some more songs that wound up being more successful in a couple of years than it was with the ones we were doing at the time. Which, the Little Piece of Dixie was this second record, the second full-length record with Dan. And after we released that, we kind of got stuck. This is, again, my long-winded way of explaining. We were signed to a couple of different situations that went south. And one guy went to prison.
Oh, wow.
That was like the it was crazy. It was a crazy time, and it was a lot of learning about the business.
Yeah.
Which is not fun to learn about.
Yeah.
It's my least favorite part of the music business is the music business.
Yeah.
And everybody agrees it sucks, you know. So here we were, and we're like, well, we're stuck and we don't know what to do. And our fans were just like, are you ever going to record another album? You know, you're playing these songs, these new songs, but we can't buy them, you know. So at that time, it was just really fortunate for us that Zach Brown all of a sudden exploded. And we had played a couple of cruises with him, with Skinnerd, and knew him and his band from the Atlanta area. And Chicken Fried took off, and it was great for him and the band. And he came to us one day, to Britt and I, and Britt was telling him, like, well, we're stuck. There's nothing we can do, you know. And he's like, yeah, you can. Let's get you out of that deal. Come over here with me. I'm going to put together a label. I'll give you the keys to the studio. Go make the record you want to make.
Oh, wow.
And that's what he did. And so we made the Whippoorwill in Asheville, North Carolina, which your gut is always right, you know. And I knew those songs, that batch of songs. I'm like, these are the ones that people are going to like. I know it.
Yeah.
And I was right.
Yeah.
My gut was right, because your gut is always right.
Yeah.
And so that's when I felt like we were on our own 2 feet at that moment.
Yeah, that's such a great album. But I want to talk about your fans, you know. You talked about your fans wanting that new album. And just to think about it, in case anybody listening or watching it and thinking, you know, for somebody to get a record deal with a big label, it's a lot easier to grow a fan base because you got this money backing you and distribution and everything. For you guys to build that fan base in a grassroots way, I'd imagine that was a lot of hard work and a lot of time on the road.
Well, I guess things work the way that they do for a reason, because we spent all that time when we were stuck, so to speak. The only thing we could do is go play. And so we played around this country in a van, the old-fashioned way, you know, playing for gas money and playing for as many sets of ears as we could gather. And really old school word of mouth kind of thing, because we had no radio, we had nothing. We had MySpace. That's all we had. We had MySpace, and we had a website and a little message board on our website.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think it's a good thing that we were able to go through those few years and play every honky-tonk between here and California.
Yeah.
You know, that puts scars on you, and putting in your 10,000 hours. Nobody ever, I remember having a conversation with a major label friend at one point. And he said, there's nothing that we could offer you that you haven't done yourself, because I know that you're not going to change what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're not going to go change your image or change the type of songs that you write and play or the way you guys tour and record. This is a funny story. When we were working with Zach, and it was fantastic. It was a fantastic experience. We went on the road with him, and it really was a great big family.
Yeah.
And then it worked. And then it kind of all, you know, Zach was very busy being Zach Brown. I think running a label, especially at that point, had to be an impossible idea, you know.
Yeah.
And but it was great. It was very selfless of him to help us out.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's 100% good-hearted dude. Anyway, so that did what it was going to do, and then, you know, the band, it was all of us together. It was like us and Levi Lowry and the Wood Brothers and Sonia Lee, and it's a pretty big roster. I remember one year he had us all play with him New Year's Eve in Atlanta, and it was fantastic. It was huge. Anyway, we kind of, that was still sort of an independent type situation with Zach. But for a minute, country radio may have been a little interested in what we were doing. And I don't think that we fit anything that was going on at that time. And they got together, this radio team I was talking to, super nice people, but we're talking about what should be the single, you know. And I said, I don't know. I mean, I can tell you what people like at our shows, but I don't know if that will translate to radio. And I mentioned a song called Ain't Got the Blues that's got this piano and acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
She said, no, that one's got too much honky-tonk piano in it. I said, oh, you can't have honky-tonk piano on a country music station? And then this is the funniest thing ever, and Zach was actually on this phone call. And so there was a song called Pretty Little Lie that wound up being the first single. And a person actually said to me, you know, I don't know if this is going to work because this song is about cheating.
Really?
And Zach actually said, are you trying to say that you can't have a cheating song as a country single?
That's crazy.
So I knew then, I'm like, okay, well, I don't think that we fit at that I mean, that was 2011.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think that we fit. We don't tick the boxes that they need ticked right
That
now.
that was a particularly not so great time in country music.
And, you know, I just was like, well, my old buddy was right. We're going to do what's comfortable for us. And changing to fit, you know, into a box was not in the cards for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I imagine, you know, you're talking about getting your 10,000 hours going across the country. How many shows were y'all doing back in those days?
I think we did 250. People landed on that number and they kept that because we did, I think 1 year we did 250.
That's crazy.
Which was ridiculous. But it was around 200, I think, every year.
Wow.
We just didn't go home.
Wow. Well, not only does that build, doing it that way, sure, it's a lot harder than getting big back from a label, you know, but you're building a real fan base of loyal fans, and I'm sure that built the brotherhood, you know, amongst the band, you know, paying those dues like that.
Totally. And I think all bands, especially that do it or have done it this way, that buy a van and and a trailer, and you become this little gang. It's like you watch a football team, and if there's a little scuffling, the whole team's going to jump on this one dude from the other team that's starting some shit, you know.
Yeah.
That's the band thing, the little gang mentality, like it's us against all of you.
Yeah.
Except for we want you to like us.
Yeah. Well, I know y'all have had a couple of albums that y'all have released on those independent labels that have went all the way to #1 on the country charts. And I think that has been so important. I've talked to guys like Marcus King, who I had on last week. Guys, this younger generation, that kicked down a door for those guys because they said, hey, we can do it. You know, we can do that. We don't need big label backing to get a #1 country album.
I remember and it still is surreal to think about because we had 2 in a row that happened. And is it Aaron Watson that at the same time had maybe around that same, the first time I think for us was 2014.
Yeah.
And I think he had one right after that, and it kind of was like, oh, well, this maybe changes the playing field a little.
Yeah.
And it was had everything to do with social media.
Yeah.
I would say. Because when people start being able to, there was a window there where it was like, oh, well, I can find my own stuff now, and I don't have to be told what I'm supposed to like.
Yeah.
Which quickly became like, as long as there's power and control to be found, somebody's gonna find it, and they're like, no. Oh, well, here's TikTok. No, you're really supposed to like this, or whatever. But it felt really refreshing right there in those times to be like, did we do that? You know, and it wasn't us. It was just the people that are so loyal to our music
Yeah.
that went and still bought physical copies of it.
Well, I think guys like y'all, Aaron Watson, Cody Jinks, all these guys who did it that way and charted albums and stuff.
Yeah.
Y'all changed the music industry and for the better.
Well, it definitely felt like an accomplishment, and I mean, I remember laughing about it, thinking, well, I went and our manager was like, do you want me to grab you a copy of Billboard? And I was like, I'll go get it. And I did. I went to Barnes and Noble and bought, the current issue of Billboard magazine. And was like, look at there, number 1. And then I went home and cut my damn grass.
Well, over the years, y'all have done some incredible collaborations. George Jones, of course.
Yeah, man.
Billy Gibbons, Greg Allman, all these guys that you've worked with. But I got to ask you what it was like working with George Jones.
Man, well, it happened way too quickly. I wish I could get that. You sometimes wish you could get that day back.
Yeah.
And do it again or slow it down. We had been out on tour with Jamie Johnson, doing a bunch of shows, and known him a long time. And,
yeah.
Such a great dude. Anyway, he and I were talking one day, and we said, we should record something together. And so we landed on Yesterday's Wine. I said we should do it, like George and Merle. And he's like, when? I said, how about next week? Because we had been in recording some stuff it was the old Curb recording studio there.
Yeah.
Or Loud recording studio, I think was the name of it. It was the old Curb, one of the old Curb buildings with James Stroud.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, yeah, I think it was like August 14th. He said, I'll be there. So I called our guy, Trey, and was like, Jamie will be there. We'll be there too. And he's like, you want George to come? I'm like, I mean, sure. Why not? And he's like, I'm serious. I'll talk to him and Nancy. And I'm like, okay. And I thought, that's not going to happen. And it did. And I didn't believe it would happen until he walked through the door. And we had already tracked the song. And Jamie and I had already sang the song. Because I don't think that anybody, he was already, I think George just turned 80.
Yeah.
And he wasn't touring as much anymore, And he's George Jones.
Yeah.
But he walked in with Nancy and another, like a security guy, and I thought, holy shit. And he came in, and I had a shirt made just for the occasion that says, don't F with me, I sang with George Jones. And I had him sign it, and he giggled. Where did you get that? And I said, I had it made. I didn't really think that he was going to come. But so we put the track on. James Stroud, hits play. And we did it pretty true to the George and Merle version, that arrangement. And Cowboy played steel. And he goes, damn, son, that's country music. And
that's
I was
awesome.
Like, wow, that's George Jones just said that. So then we said, what do you want to do? Because James had said, I don't know what he might want to do. He might sing a line. He might, who knows, And George said, well, let's go sing it. And Jamie and I are standing there, and we're like, okay. And James Stroud was like, go sing it. So we all went and sang it again, all the way down, 2 or 3 times. And that was it.
Wow.
And he said, I'm going to sing the high part if that's okay with you. I said, yeah, you go right ahead. Oh, man.
That is too cool. Well, that couldn't have been too long before he passed away, huh? That was...
Yeah, it wasn't. I wound up going... It was a few months later he was playing his final show at the Ryman. And I don't know if it was even billed as such, but it wound up being the last time he played the Ryman.
Wow.
And Jamie and I were going to go do Yesterday's Wine with him. And we got there, and Jamie couldn't make it. I think his bus broke down. And I said, and George didn't know me like he knew Jamie. You know, I just met him that day of the session, but
Right.
he'd known Jamie for a long time. And I asked, or George and his manager said, well, yeah, let's still do it. Just me and Charlie will do it. And I thought, wow. And I thought, his fans are not going to have any idea who I am, and I'm going to go out there. I had real long hair then. You know? I went and got a Manuel jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we did it, and it was a thrill.
That's awesome. Manuel's a good friend of mine.
He is a trip.
I go to his house. In fact, my wife's at his house right now.
Oh, I've got a jacket there. She could pick it up for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I go every Friday night.
Yeah.
Tequila Friday at Manuel's.
Oh, wow.
Love Manuel. Great friend. But that is so incredible that you got to do that and spend that time with George. I mean, and for him to say that to you, that's country music.
You know, he said when he first walked in, he didn't know who we were, and it was a session for him. You know, it was like it wasn't. I'm sure he wasn't excited that morning to get up and go. Where am I going? You're going into the studio with Blackberry Smoke. So he walks up to me and Britt, and we're standing there, and he goes, "I thought y'all were a black gospel group." And I thought, I've never wanted to be a black gospel group more than this moment right here, because he was excited to meet us. Not a bunch of woolly ragamuffins. But he loved it. And I mean, I know what he loves. We know what George Jones loves, because we love that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't dream of going in there and being like, we're going to do this really experimental version of Yesterday's Wine and see if he likes it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, you know, I wanted to be like, I'm here because of you.
Yeah.
Because I heard you sing when I was a little boy. I have a very vivid memory of my early stepdad's best friend was missing an arm. And he and my stepdad were working on a Baja Beetle, building a Baja Beetle. And they had a little old dusty radio on the shop bench, like a tool table, a big metal tool table. And it was turned wide open, and the door was playing, and my stepdad's best friend had a roll of electrical tape, and he had it under like the crook of this arm with no arm, and was biting it. And that was my visual. I'm like, already freaked out that he's missing an arm. But anyway, the soundtrack to that was the closing of the door. Oh, man.
Well, like I said, George wasn't the only great collaboration you've had. What are some other ones that was just like man, you can't get any better than this?
Well, Billy, like you said, Billy Gibbons, like you said, spent so much time with Billy. That was great. And Bob Weir.
Oh, yeah?
Of the Grateful Dead, who told me, we recorded a bunch of music with him, and then he came out and played with us at a show in California. And he said, could we do Yesterday's Wine like y'all did with George Jones? I said, yeah. He said, can I sing George's part? I said, yeah. He said, you know how you feel about Jerry Garcia? I said, yeah. He said, that's how I feel about George Jones.
Oh, wow.
So that was great with Bob. Oh, my gosh. I've taken stock of things before, you know, and thought,
yeah,
this is crazy. This is Greg Allman coming and singing on a song that Brandon and I wrote, and even that situation where I went and asked him, I was told, said, go and ask him in person. This is not he's not the kind of guy that wants to get an email, you know.
Yeah.
And so I went down. He was playing a show in Macon, a Greg Allman and Friends show, or Greg Allman Band show, actually. And we had done some stuff with the Allman Brothers and with Government Mule, and we knew that group of people, you know. I went down and I went into his dressing room and said, Greg, and being around Greg Allman was really, as heavy.
Yeah.
Because he was cool. He was the coolest of the cool.
Yeah.
I spoke when spoken to, you know.
Right.
But I said, Greg, we have a song that we're going to record for our new record. Would you sing on it? And he's like, can I hear it? And I thought, oh no, he's not going to like it. And I said, yeah. And so I played it, and he's like, I'll do it.
Wow.
So he did. When I listen to that recording now, I get goosebumps every single time.
Oh, I can imagine.
Every single fucking time. It's just as good as it gets.
Well, I would imagine, having that support from these legends across all of these different genres, because it's not just rock and roll and rock and country, all these different genres who are in y'all's corner. That's got to be extremely fulfilling.
It is. I don't know. I guess everybody, you'll doubt yourself and think, am I doing this right? Even if in your heart, like, okay, this feels like I'm doing the right thing. To have somebody that you really respect, or that you even have taken influence from,
right?
Like a Billy Gibbons or a Greg Allman or George Jones or whoever, if they say you're doing a good job. I remember one of my favorite songwriters on this planet is Steve Earle. I can't even explain how, sometimes that man, he just brings me to tears. And I got to know him over the years, and he texted me one day that it's when I think the Find a Light album had come out, and he said, I just played your new single on my show. And I thought, man, that means more to me than just about anything I can remember. That because it's one thing to go, to walk off the stage and have somebody you respect say, sound pretty good, man, but to have him say that.
Yeah, Steve Earle's such a good songwriter.
Those moments they're priceless,
Yeah, I love that group of guys that kind of come up together. Steve Earle, Rodney Crowell, Guy Clark, Townsend, that is all.
I just got to sing with Rodney on his new record.
No kidding.
Yeah. It's his new record is produced by a friend, Tyler Bryant.
Oh yeah.
And I got to meet Rodney. Tyler facilitated this, but Rodney's great, and Trina Shoemaker engineered it. And it's great. Heaven, Can You Help Us is the name of the song. It really fits this time. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear that. But you're quite an avid collector of guitars as well. How many you got?
I don't know, Dylan. My wife,
that sounds expensive.
My wife might be listening to this.
They're all cheap ones, huh?
Yeah, that's right. No, I don't know. I haven't counted in quite a while, but I did this thing I don't have as large a collection as Joe Bonamassa or Rick Nielsen. Those are the two main, collectors that come to mind when you mention it. But they just I keep finding them.
Yeah.
And they speak to me, and when they do, if they speak loudly enough, and if they speak in the right amount of green dollar bills, then I want to take them home. Yeah.
Do you have any that are your favorites?
I do. There's a couple that I've had a long time, and guitars are like anything else, like boots or jeans or a baseball glove or car. You get the one, it's like this one's going with me.
Yeah.
It's home.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to collaboration because I forgot to ask you, and I want to ask you, do you have anything cool coming down the pipeline with anybody?
I do.
Ooh.
I do. Some stuff with old friends is coming. I've had a really busy couple of years with friends, with the song with Cody Jakes that we wrote, and went out and recorded with him in El Paso at that fantastic studio out there. That I'll give you $100 if you can find it. When I got there, I'm like, this is an episode of Breaking Bad. I've seen it before. That was great. And Mark Morton from Lamb of God, who is a huge fan of Southern rock and roll music and country music and the music that we all love,
Yeah.
he's just also really, really good at writing and playing heavy metal. So, but we made a good record with him. Have a song together on that, and Michael Cleveland, the world's greatest fiddle player. I'm sure you've seen and heard Michael.
Oh yeah.
He and his band recorded a beautiful cover of One Horse Town, and let me sing on it with them. And there's just been a lot of stuff, and got a few more things coming.
Yeah.
too.
Well, I'd like to talk about One Horse Town because that's, golly, one of my favorite songs of all time. One Horse Town. It really resonates. You know, I think we're probably from the same kind of areas, you know, and so I think that resonates with guys like us. But how did that song come to be?
I had a session. I had 2 days with. The first day was myself and Travis Meadows, who I write lots of songs with. And these 2 days were actually the last 2 times that we've been in the room together writing songs. This was in 2009 or 10. Since then, we've written maybe 20 more songs, and we don't even see each other. We do it text.
Oh yeah.
We text back and forth. Anyway, it was the first day was Travis and I, and we wrote Pretty Little Lie. And the second day was Travis and I and Jeremy Spillman, and we wrote One Horse Town.
Wow.
And I remember both of those being a whirlwind. It was really fast. And the only thing I remember about the One Horse Town writing session is arguing with Travis over the very last line of the song. And I said, no, I think the last line should be different. It should sort of change at the end to sort of put a bookend at the, like, okay, this is the end, or the stake in the ground, this is the end of the song. Not just repeat that line. And he's like, no, that's stupid. Don't do that. I said, and I thought to myself, I'm going to do it because you're not going to be there when we record it. But we laugh about it now because it works.
Yeah.
In the moment, it seemed a little abstract.
Right.
But actually, I'd gotten sober, and he hadn't yet. And he and I used to get in a lot of trouble together because we were very not sober together. And I had just kind of cleaned my act up, and he hadn't. And he called me the next day. No, it was about a month later, rather, and said, did we write a song called Pretty Little Lie? I said, we did. It's already a single. I love that fella, man. He's one of a kind.
Well, I want to put you on the spot here. I usually put everybody on the spot because my listeners really love a good story.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite story to tell from your time on the road with Blackberry Smoke?
Oh, man. I just got asked this the other day by Kip from Red Arrow. You know Kip from Red Arrow TV? He's great. And I've known him a long time. And I said, Kip, I've got so many that I can't repeat because of people that are involved. You could probably tell me one.
I read one, and we need to talk about Britt Turner anyway because, I mean, what a talent. Extraordinary loss. But he was a little bit of a firecracker, it seems like.
He was a lot of bit of a firecracker. He was the funniest human I've ever met, and quick to the truth. We all know people like that. It's like he's going to tell you what he thinks about it, no matter what your feelings tell you.
Yeah,
he's going to tell you the truth. He kicked me off a stage one night. We were, because he was the only adult in the room. Like, we were just out partying wild and crazy. And we were somewhere in Colorado, I think. And it's during that time where we couldn't make another record, and we were just out earning our stripes, you know.
Right.
And I had gotten it into my head sometime between the opening band starting and when we went on that we should do a Smithereens song. But we've never done a Smithereens song, but I was listening to that song, A Girl Like You. And I think I was wont to do that back then. I would get to imbibing and decide in the moment to be like, let's not do this one, let's do. And I kind of have a vague memory of it being like, and I remember like not hearing the drums start, And I remember maybe like there was this spark in my brain going, he ain't going to play this with me because he knows we shouldn't be doing this. But instead, I felt his shoe in my back, and I went into about 3 rows into people out into the. And then he came and helped.
He really kicked you off the stage.
And then he came and helped me up. He apparently came down out of his drum kit and hit me up, and he said, "Stop playing songs that we don't fucking know." But I did watch him one time. We were playing this bar out in Austell, Georgia, and we were still playing covers with our originals then to fill up a night. We're playing in the bar, you know. The bar was, I won't even name the bar. Anyway, Britt's wife Shannon was there. I don't think they were even married yet. Maybe. She's very pretty. She was sitting at the bar. This was kind of thing is like it looked like Cheers. There's all this room over here and over there and over there, and the bar's right in the middle, and you can walk all the way around the bar. You know? She's down there, and we're playing some songs, and all of a sudden the drums stop, and I see him running, and he basically dives into this dude and just starts whipping his ass right at the bar. That dude had been hitting on his wife, and I guess got a little too handsy. And so then Richard leaves the bass guitar and is over there going to reinforce. But the dude that he was beating up, his buddy got him, and they took him out. And it was like, okay, well, there's the guy in the black hat, here's the guy in the white hat, you know. He was doing the wrong thing. You don't mess with somebody's girl. That was on Friday. So Saturday comes, and I remember we had played a set, took a break, standing at that bar. I had a beer in my hand, a couple of band guys on stools, and I hear a guy go, "Which one of y'all beat my ass last night?" And before I could turn, a bottle crashed over my head, and I wound up on the floor, and I balled up, and I'm getting kicked, and I hear just wreckage going on. And that dude had come back with a group of his friends and jumped on all of us, and everybody, like our whole band and the dudes that were in the bar then, like there was a barroom brawl. And I remember the kicking stopped pretty quick. I remember thinking, I was kind of out for a second, but I remember thinking, I'm going to get a rib broken. This is like a movie. This is how people get put in the hospital. They left me alone. And but then I reached a bartender girl came over and said, "Oh, Shug, come with me. Can you get up?" And I was like, "I think so." And I went to, she goes, "Don't touch your head, don't touch your head." And I had a big old piece of glass hanging out of my head.
Ooh.
A Corona bottle. So she takes me into the bar, at the office, rather, and lays me down on the ground and like puts a jacket under my head. And she pulled it out. She pulled that piece of glass. It was just kind of sticking in the skin. But
yeah.
She gave me a towel, and she's like, "Put pressure on it." I did. And then the bar owner, he's in the doorway. They've cleared the bar. And he's like, "I knew better than to hire y'all. I knew y'all wasn't nothing but trouble." And I thought, when has anything like this ever happened? And, you know. And so they called me an ambulance and got in they put me on a gurney, you know, and which was all pretty extreme. I wound up having 11 stitches in my head. They took me to Kennestone Hospital, and Jesse Dupree came to get me. And they had to let me hang. They let me hang out for a while because I was drinking pretty heavy, I guess, and that thins your blood and whatever, and doing God knows what else. But I remember him standing there looking at me. He was all fired up, and that's the first time I ever looked at him real closely, and I was like, "You have one blue eye and one green eye." And he knew that. I just didn't. He's like, "Yeah, well," and anyway, that was not pertinent to the situation. But I wound up writing with Gordon Kennedy, "Sleeping Dogs" is one of our songs.
Oh, yeah,
It came out of that experience.
Oh, wow.
So that was one of our wildest stories.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty wild.
Yeah, that was real. I wish I could have seen the fight, but my eyes were full of blood.
Yeah. y'all probably aren't doing 250 shows a year anymore, but y'all are always on the road.
Yeah, it's. I think we'll do around 100 this year, which is that's pretty busy.
Still quite a bit.
We're all, I'm 51. We're all married, all got kids.
Yeah.
Some of our kids are about to have kids. It's, we've all grown up doing this together, and but we love it. We wouldn't do it if we didn't. I always wonder, I'm like, why did the Stones keep doing this? They don't need the money. It really has to be a challenge at 82 years old to go out there and be Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
But he does it because he loves it. He's addicted to it. That's got to be the only answer. Right?
Yeah. I know Keith Richards has said, somebody asked him about retiring, and he said retiring, that'd be a death sentence.
Yeah, right.
Is that how y'all feel about it? Y'all feel like y'all are just going to keep on going until you can't?
I mean, I don't know if I ever really think about that. I don't put a. I don't see it that way, really. It's hard. It would be hard to be like, can I see myself at 70 doing this?
Yeah.
It just still feels very comfortable to do.
Yeah.
People all the time, like at the meet and greet and things, they'll say, "You must be tired." I'm like, I'm not. We really work 2 hours a day. I mean, there's a lot. The crew obviously works all day.
Yeah.
And we do, I do press and write songs and write set lists and do things. But
right.
I do on the road find other things to do to take up some of these hours that you get ready to go do that 2 hours every night. So I spent most of my young life in a body shop, and I love that too, but this is a whole lot different,
A lot less labor intensive.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I can't complain not one bit. There are people who do, band guys on the road, and they should shut up because this is a blessing. It's a gift to be able to do. Like I said earlier, I knew I wanted to do this when I was 6 years old. Now I'm 51, and I've been doing it a long time, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, we're right at almost at 25 years of Blackberry Smoke, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And just fantastic live shows.
Oh, thank you.
Always great. The music's always great. And I hear a lot of people say when they're talking about Blackberry Smoke, you can watch a show Friday night and go watch the show Saturday night, and it's different.
It is. And I got into that frame of mind years ago because we had gone out in the beginning and opened for a lot of people. And it was the first time where I was like, oh, we just played the same songs in the same order for a week or more.
Yeah.
Because we had this 30 minutes that we had to fill up. And it had to be exact because you don't want to go over. That's one thing. Opening bands, don't go over. The people hate it when you do that. Everybody hates it when you do that. And I would be afraid to change things up. I'm like, oh, I've got this. This is perfect. And I hated it. I'm like, this feels too formulaic. Like it's not. It doesn't feels like fake happiness, And that's not to say that it is. It felt that way to me. And so as soon as we had the ways and means and our own amount of time to play, I thought, especially if you're playing more than one night in a city, like give the people who are, buying a ticket, don't give them the same exact thing twice in a row.
Yeah.
Maybe some people want that, but I don't know a lot of people who do. I know more people who I think would like variety.
Right.
And then with each passing year and a new album and a new set of songs, you're like, oh, well, we can put these in there.
Yeah.
Incorporate, fold these in. So it's fun to do. We'll do at the Shed every year. We'll do 3 or 4 nights, and we'll play a whole different set list every night.
Right. Yeah. Well, we have a lot of young, aspiring musicians and artists that listen to the show, I know. What would your advice be to those guys who are just starting? Or what would your advice have been to yourself, 25 years ago?
Trust your gut, because it is never wrong. Ever. We're all guilty, and I'll be like, I knew I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
And you're right every single time.
Yeah.
That's my only. And write and or record songs that you really love, not because you think it might be popular.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great advice. Has obviously done very well for y'all as far as the recording, what you feel you need to record,
Yeah.
and just authenticity is what it is, truly.
I think so. I think it goes a long way. I remember thinking when I first got sober, and I was one of those people that needed to, man. I was off the rails, and we wouldn't be sitting here talking if I hadn't.
Yeah.
Because when I did, that was 2007. This is when Britt came to me, and I was like, I'm going to quit drinking, man. And he was like, thank God we can finally get to work, And I remember thinking for a minute, I'm like, well, we had sort of cultivated this image as this party band.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't do it. We weren't trying to fool anybody. We just were.
Yeah.
We just were crazy, wild, and I thought, well, I wonder if people are going to not be as interested because people used to see how drunk they could get us. It was like the Replacements. Can we get them to pass out on stage?
Yeah.
But I thought, I wonder if people are going to be like, and that was the wrong way to look at it. I'm like, well, I'm just doing what's good for me, not for you,
Right.
And I was like, well, this ain't about image. It's about being authentic to yourself.
Right.
And authentic me needed to quit drinking so he could live to be 51.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you, I'm excited. I know the listeners are excited for what y'all have coming around the corner.
Yeah, man.
New music, the new collaborations, and of course the shows. If any of you guys who are listening have not seen these guys live, I mean, it's electric. It's fun. Like I said, it's different every time you're going to see them. So be sure to do that. They're all the time on the road, so surely they'll be in a town near you.
I'm sure there's 100 chances for you. We had just announced this morning that we're doing New Year's Eve in Athens, Georgia, which is sort of like a homecoming. Close. It's close to Atlanta, but that'll be great. So if you don't have New Year's Eve plans, and we're doing a Mexican destination December 6th through 10th, which we've never done. We've done cruise after cruise after cruise, which are great.
Mm-hmm.
And we had gone down and done one thing with Zach Brown, a destination, and it was fantastic. And so we're doing our own with Little Feat, 49 Winchester, J.J. Gray.
Oh, wow.
Band of Heathens, Elizabeth Cook, and Dusty Slade.
Oh, I love Dusty. I just had him on last week.
So that'll be December 6th through 10th.
Man, that's going to be a good show.
It is. I think there's a few cabins left, so get on them. High Tide Getaway.
What part of Mexico is that in?
It's the Sapphire Resort, Cancun.
Okay,
area.
Cancun. Okay.
All inclusive.
I might have to look into that.
I'm bringing some really good friends of mine that for years we have a Bluegrass jam just for our own entertainment and fun. My friends in Carrollton, Georgia, I'm packing them up, and we're having the Bluegrass jam down there too. So,
what dates you said that one?
December 6th through the 10th.
Oh yeah, I might have to look into that. That sounds like a good time.
It's going to be good.
Well, Charlie, I know you're extremely busy, obviously, and you got a show coming up tonight that we're just so excited for.
Yeah.
And thank you again for having us out and letting us sit down and talk with you and hear these stories, man.
Thank you, my friend.
A lifelong fan.
Thank
and
you.
Glad to know you now.
Glad to know you too.
Yes, sir. Thank you.